Hello, hello. I am Ashen Ninja, and this today is Mazdamundi's Legendary Start Guide. Yeah. So as always, again, like I said, it's on Legendary, but everything should be usable for people on lower difficulties and that sort of thing. You just may find some things like battles and that sort of thing a little bit easier, and the AI a bit less aggressive and cheaty, because they get a lot of cheats on Legendary that they don't get on lower difficulties. Now, the old Toadface, which, interestingly enough, being that he is the only Slan Legendary Lord of their 7 Legendary Lords, seems a bit odd to me. But, you know, in the end, it's not my game. It's their game. They decide what they're going to do. Now, so he has -10 diplomatic relations with most factions, which is probably because he adheres quite closely to the Great Plan and has done things in the past like, you know, rearranged the world a bit, which is what caused a lot of cataclysms to the dwarves and that sort of stuff. Construction cost -50% for the Star Chamber buildings, which is the buildings that allows you to recruit more Slan, and his right cost is -30%. That's just his faction ones. Pretty rubbish, to be honest. Lord effects, though. Miscast chance -50%. A unit experience gain per turn +50, which is pretty useless. Winds of Magic Power Reserve +40, and upkeep -50% for Temple Guard units in his army. So these boys here, who are alright meleeers, on the lower difficulties especially, they're pretty good. Up on the higher difficulties, they do suck quite hard, because melee in general does. Which is a problem for the Lizardmen, because a lot of their stuff is melee. So he does start with a few different units, being these Temple Guard, some Croxagore, who are fairly hard-hitting big units. I actually don't mind Croxagores. And Feral Bastillodons, who are really more of a chariot than anything else. So it's kind of what you need to treat them like. They're not really that good in a sustained combat, better at hit and run, if you can avoid them getting into that rampage, because then you have no control over what they're doing. Real bastard of a thing, that. Alright, that's... oh yes, and of course on Legendary, very hard Legendary, as always. Now, the one big downside if you are playing Lizardmen is that none of your Legendary Lords are really that Legendary. And if you really want a really good caster general especially, don't bother with the whole Mazdamundi or anything like that, or any of the other ones. Just get a normal Slan. They're really good. Depending on your army composition, I generally go for Fire Slan or a Life Slan. My preference, though, overall is a Life Slan, because they can heal your big monsters quite well, keep all them up, and they actually have some pretty good damage spells as well. So since you're going to be in melee, crowd as much as you can on top of your army and just, you know, essentially AoE your enemy down with magicals. But that's not how you get to start out. You get to start out as a big fat lizard sitting in a floating chair. So that is what we're going to work on today. Now, on top of his units, Mazda also starts with a Soroskar veteran called Cricket. In this case, I've got a cunning one, which is pretty good, because that gives us better ambush success chance. We do start off with Hexawatl as well, which is actually a really good province to start with, because it does have gold. And you've also got a couple of, you know, landmark buildings and that sort of thing. This one's not too bad landmark building. I'm not so keen on this one. I mean, if you're really into a lot of those monsters, it can be. And, oh, actually, that looks like it's changed. I'm sure it didn't used to be all armies. And I'm pretty sure it didn't do Stegodon and Carnosaurs before. Maybe I'm wrong. But that's actually a fucking awesome building looking at that. Maybe I was getting them confused. Ah, well. Alright, along here, we're not going to worry about Sauruses. They are actually too expensive. So we're going to get rid of that building. I'm going to put in that building instead, because that one we're going to be building our skinks through. And we want our growth building so that we can start growing the province faster. Now to start with as well, we want to try and make friends with these guys. So we want to talk to them before the end of the first turn and try and get a non-aggression pact with them.
Okay.
Because what can happen is a Skeggy, who are our big enemy over here, will try and get them to join war against us. That becomes a bit of a problem. And it still may happen anyway. So you've got to kind of keep an eye on that. Let's just get all of these going a bit faster for us. There we are. Alright. So what do we have? We've got Mazda. Let's go into his skills while we're here. Now his blue line's no different from the other Lizardmen legendary lords. Things like that's always a good thing, especially for Lizardmen, so you can reduce your upkeep as much as possible. Again, the red line isn't any different from the other legendary lords either. Same old thing, so depending on what kind of army you're planning on putting together, it will really change what you're going to go for. So his magic line, this one here, is fairly unique to him. It's not specifically any kind of magic type, really. So it's got Harmonic Convergence, Roiling Skies, Apotheosis for some heals, Net of Amantok, Curse of the Midnight Wind, which, you know, we all get that a little bit occasionally. Arcane Unforging, which is okay, but Combat of Cassandora, again, it's okay, it's not great. Shield of Sapphire, Exorcism, and Greater Arcane Conduit. On top of that, he's also got the usual Slan stuff as well. So your 15 magic resist, reducing his miscast chance even more, causing terror and public order. He's got, so you can get him regeneration, and you get 25% physical resistance. Up here we've got more magic, less enemy magic, more magic for us again. Focus of Mysteries, so he can get banishment, but you can only cast it twice, so it's not that good. It'd be better if you could cast it more than that, but that's okay. And he's got Ruination of Cities, which is a nice wind spell that does a fair bit of damage, but again, you can only cast it twice. He does have a couple of items that he'll get quests for along the way, being the Sunburst Standard for more missile resistance and melee defense for those around him, which is good. Like having missile resistance, especially when you've got large monsters in your army, very good. The Mace of Mazdamundi, which honestly is pretty crap when it comes to him, because you don't really want him in combat too much, but at the same time, when you put him on Zlak, he is essentially his SUV. Being a Mazda, it's not that surprising that he's an SUV. So that gives him a decent size Stegodon mount that's good at bashing stuff. So in a way, the Cobra Mace is useless until he's on Zlak, essentially. And he's got, you know, the usual extra missile resistance, extra magic resistance, and so on. So he's got some pretty good stuff up here. I'd actually like filling all three of those lines, to be honest, just because it's the only real way to make him decent. But even then, I still think a normal Slan is a better option. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't recruit one to show them off. You've got to get a one of those. No, not one of those. Star Chamber, which you can build in small, in your small little settlements as well, which is a good idea because it increases your Slan and hero recruit rank, and for everyone you build, it essentially gets you another option for getting a Slan as well. And it increases income from all buildings by 5% in all regions in the province. And in this case, because you've got the gold mine in there, that can add up pretty quickly. So, it can be a good idea. But I am digressing. We should go and get into our old mate over here. Now, I'm not going to fight this battle manually. I'm just going to auto-resolve it. It's a pretty easy battle. You outnumber them. There's nothing that's really dangerous in that at all. You essentially can hold the line with your Saurus warriors and your Temple Guard. Flank them with your Feral Bastillodons and your Crocscores, and just get your Skink Cohorts to destroy stuff too. It's nothing too serious. I'll take the Treasury. I think that's the best option, because we'll get those units back up to almost full strength. You know what? I'll take the replenishment. It's one of those things where you've got to kind of judge it on its merits. I'm going to force march him back into our territory. We're not going to go for the Ziggurat of Dawn or anything like that. We want to go for the Fallen Gates. So the Ziggurat of Dawn is actually a ruin. Fallen Gates has Skavens in it. So we want to head towards the Skavens, because we don't want them getting strong. Now, Apotheosis he already can cast, and same with Harmonic Convergence. So what we want to do is get him more distance. Because at the moment, there's no way to get him any decent damaging spells this early on. So there's just no point. And yet, while you'll always get Cricket as your Saurus Scar veteran, he's just the same as every other Saurus Scar veteran out there. So nothing special with him. I've done the diplomacy. Yes, I've done the diplomacy. Skeggy, we're got non-aggression pact with him. So it's Clan Nor that's sitting there. They're only at war with us, but killing them should also increase our happiness with them. And if we can get them to be at peace with us and sign a non-aggression pact, that's actually quite a bonus. So we'll just move on from there. Coffee is delicious, I can tell you that. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. So what we do want to do is trying to get him as much replenishment as possible. And we also need to do some recruiting. So we'll get him over here. And we're going to get some more skink cohorts. We are going to build the money building. We'll build the next one of that and we'll get more growth. And we're going to send out our friendly Saurus warrior out here. Just because that will level him. So another level, very useful. What is the cat doing? He's being an asshole. That's what he's doing. That's fine. That's what cats do. Right. So our giant toad is heading that way. We've got another level on him. They're doing some recruiting, which isn't that unusual, really. We do want to try and start getting things like Macau Peaks, but we don't have the money to hire a lord at the moment. Well, we do have the money to hire the lord, but we don't have the money to actually get him to, you know, do the thing. So we'll worry about that in the next turn. Speaking of which, let's get to the next turn now. So what we're trying to achieve here, we want to try and push the Skaven back. So he will have recruited. It's up to 6. Yep, that's fine. Let's bring the old Mazda in. We'll pop him back in Mazda's army. He's not at full health, but that's not too big a deal. Neither is he, but that's also not too big a deal. He will run. Excellent. That just leaves us a small garrison in Fallen Gates. It is very good for us. Now, this one, I'm not actually going to auto-resolve this one. We're going to fight this one. We want to try and get our as many skink cohorts to actually shoot at the Night Runners as possible, because they're actually not bad in melee, whereas the clan rats and the slaves are just trash. But we want to try and not lose as much as possible. essentially. So the first thing we'll do is we'll heal up our hero and our Bastiladon to try and get them up to maximum health. And we will, so we'll pop these two in a line here. We'll get our skinks kind of over in flanking areas. You can go up front, you can go just behind them. They're going to be counter charges. Looks good. Alright, first job. That's some healing in. Are they coming for us? No. Okay, perfect. Here they are? No. Okay. That's good. And second one, we healed him up. Didn't heal him to full, that's pretty garbage. I suppose it only does heal like 400 something, so that's close enough. Alright, let's get our boys moving up. Now they've only got a 70 range, I think we don't have much more than that either, to be honest. Alrighty. So let's bring them and them up. Because they will, once we start shooting them, they're gonna start moving on us as well. So we'll pull back. There we go. If we exchange a little bit of fire with them, that's fine. Long as in the end we do more damage to them than they do to us. There we go. Start pegging them. That's the ticket. Alright, pull back. You pull back too. There we can get our infantry in here a bit. There we go. He's taking a little bit of damage already. That's fine. Let's get them around the back there. Ooh, a bit of damage from them. Yeah, get into the Skaven slaves. They're only Skaven slaves as well, so it's hardly worth the ammo, but... I need to not have him rampage too much. Yeah, over there, the clan rats. Him up. Alrighty, yep, things are doing pretty well here. Let's move them up and see if we can take them out with the Night Runners. Let's actually try not to get them into combat over here. Those Night Runners are taking an absolute beating, that's good. We're copping a little bit of a flogging from some of their... Yeah, just keep after them. They'll run out of ammo eventually. Have nowhere to go then. Hit those clan rats a bit more. Ooh. Didn't realise it was in combat. That's no good. Don't want that. Big boys down there to help out. Probably don't really want both units in combat there with them. That's probably not the best. Let's surround him with those units. Pull them out of that. That's not good. Looks like they've now got the army loss penalties there, just the garrison, so that's fine. What we'll do though is we'll get some healing down on our single units here, just to try and get them back up to full health as much as we can. He still needs a little bit of healing himself. Let's go with the Stilodon though. Yep, that's back up to full. And we'll just give him a tiny bit. So while they've lost a bit of health, they're actually okay. Lost a couple of units, so a bit of bummer. The Croxagore did nicely. Temple Guards did alright as well. Against things like slaves and that sort of thing, you would expect that though. There we go, decisive victory, and we're not actually going to occupy this, we're just going to sack it. Now, what I want to do now is I want to try and get Mazda to a place where he might be able to ambush this force if it attempts to get back in the Fallen Gates. Ambushing it would be really good. So to help us along, let's get some ancient cunning going on him. This guy is already cunning here, so that actually helps us quite a bit. We do have 4,000 gold now, so we should be able to get ourselves a red-crested skink lord. We'll take this one. And we're going to send him to Macau Peaks to occupy that. Just because that'll give us a bit more of the ability to have income and that sort of stuff. And we can start growing that straight away. Okay, so he buggered off because we were discovered. Isn't too bad. Yes, we're kind of ignoring Skeggy a bit at the moment. He'll probably go and occupy the Ziggurat of Dawn. So we don't have to worry too much about that. We're not going to start building those yet. Depending on how much money we can pop out of here now. We'll grab that and we will sack it once more. Just because it gives us a bit of our health back anyway. Let's move up here and see if we can spot that Skaven army. We can't. He shouldn't have been able to do much in the way of recruitment because he was moving around. But we'll see. So a bit more ancient cunning. Blade Master for you. We'll have Macau Peaks soon. Now that'll still leave us with 2,500 there, so yeah, we won't build that building yet. That'll be your next turner. Coffee, wonderful stuff. Okay, doesn't look like he's intending on coming back then. So let's just occupy the Fallen Gates this time. We'll just go decisive victory, yeah sure, and we'll occupy it. That's there is good for us. We'll get rid of that building, but we will, over here at the Fallen Gates, see what skink chiefs we can get. An arrogant one, aggressive one. I don't really like any of those personally. I'll take the Weapon Master. Yeah, I'll take the Weapon Master one. Normally I wouldn't take any of them, and I'd look at trying to get one with a better trait like Pompous. Pompous is really good because it reduces. We actually got it on this one, so I'll show you. It's one of the better ones for a lizard vet to get. Reduces enemy leadership by -4 in the local region. So very handy little trait, that one. We're going to search ruins first. Get ourselves one of these that I totally never cheat on. Never cheated on one in my life. Should always think these things through. Where's my bookmarks? I mean, why would I need bookmarks? It's just silly. So these ones, I especially don't like these ones really, because you got to kind of if you could actually interact with it, and make it move and stuff. I think that'd actually be pretty cool. But it's not. It's completely static, just picture. So I'm not twisting my head around, but it is that one there. Construction cost -25 for Star Chamber buildings, local province. Wow, that's actually really good because Star Chambers, I think, already have it's like a 50% discount anyway. So that's actually pretty good. So if you get one of those, yeah, make sure you use that. It also gives us enough money to do things like that, and no, not quite that though. So we'll leave that as it is. Not worry about that. Now we should get attacked by that Skaven army because they don't actually have a settlement at all anymore. We'll also get to find out whether or not they've done any recruitment. Okay, nope, they haven't done. They don't know where their army is, so that's a problem. That's alright. As you can see, as usual, they've been called into war against us. So we're going to colonise this all the same. That, and we're going to disband him. Get us a bunch of our income back. We're going to use him to do a little bit of scouting. Alright, so he's got himself some more troops over there. We can get chameleon stalkers, but I don't really like them, to be honest. So we're going to get some more of our other skinks, and we're going to enable all of that with them. So that'll increase the damage skinks will do. Which is just what we want. Now, the reason they're in that particular stance is that gets their underway, stops them from having attrition, so which is good for them. But as you can see, now they're forced march down here like idiots. So I don't know. Right, so Fallen Gates has a Plateau of the Fallen Gates little building on it. Extra -5% for Temple Guard. Hero recruit rank +1 for Sauruses. Hero recruit rank +1 for Skink Priests. And recruit rank +2 for Temple Guard. It's okay, but it's probably not that worth it. But it does put 3 Temple Guard in the garrison. So when you put in the other walls and everything, because you're in a dangerous spot here, which isn't a bad idea. But what we will do is we will build a food building. We're going to pop him into the army here, help us replenish troops and get him levels. And we're going to easily slaughter him because we also have the garrison. So we'll just take the win on that one. And we'll also just take the money. Good, good. That means we've now secured our western flank. We'll do the upgrade for that one. We've actually made a bit friends with these guys, I think. We should have at least. I think. No, still deteriorating. Oh well. That's a bummer. They may request military alliances and stuff like that with us anyway. never know. Alright, so 13, we'll grab... Well, we only grab 2, but that's okay. Made us back up to 50. Get him, Foe Seeker. We want him to get up to level 18 as fast as possible so we can get him his Carnosaur. Then he just wrecks stuff. Now we want him to have replenished troops so that we can replenish faster. But we want him to get up to level 18 as well fairly fast so that we can get him his Stegodon. Not Ancient Stegodon, Stegodon. Basically, your big difference between the two, when you look at your range, it's only 115 for your Ancient Stegodon, while you do have a lot of missile strength. Range 360 for your normal Stegodon, so that's actually the better one. What's also good is things like piercing shots, and like all of the piercing shots, precise, all that affects while he's on the Stegodon, so he actually does a lot more damage. So he's like a souped up Stegodon when he's all set up properly. So that's at minus 12, but part of that's because we want that to be a bit of a trap for our enemies. Alrighty. So that's basically where I'm going to leave this guide off. So what we have is we've only got half of our province, but we have wiped out the Skaven that were there. We're going to have a rebellion soon. If you're on the lower difficulties, that's probably not going to be an issue for you. So try not to worry too much on that. We'll have a decent sized army, so we'll be able to actually set things up from there. With things like your gold mine and the money building being crafted as well, that's going to mean you're actually going to have enough money to get yourself what I call a lord. Well, I call him a lord. I don't mean lord. What I mean is a... Yep, that word's gone. Completely gone. A bait lord. That's what I'm saying. So that you can use that as bait to draw out your enemy armies and ambush them with Lord Mazdamundi, who should now have, now that he's got things like Ancient Cunning and a Cunning Hero, a pretty decent ambush chance. So you want to make sure you look at that. Now I'm looking for that Star Chamber. Okay, no, that must be a... Must go only on certain heroes or lords, so that's a bit of a bummer. Anyway, that is it from the old Mazda. He does have rights. Try not to worry too much about them. Rite of Awakenings for your Star Chambers. Rite of Ferocity just gives you some bonuses. Same with Rite of Sotek. The one you do want to be able to use occasionally is Rite of Primeval Glory. It'll get you some nice Carnosaurs and Stegodons and stuff to add to your army. But that aside, these basically the same as any other Lizardmen. Try not to worry too much about it. So anyway, that's a fairly decent start there, in my opinion. It's a pretty strong start for Mazdamundi. If this has been helpful for you, just let me know via comments or liking or subscribing. Preferably subscribing. So, you know, usual sort of thing. Like, comment, subscribe. And I will see you in the next episode. I've been Ashen Ninja. Hope you have a good one. Bye.